Hey guys, guess what I just saw? Guess what?
Welcome to the frickin' Guardians of the Galaxy.
What is up, guys? Today we're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. One of my most anticipated movies of the entire year. Did it pay off? Is it bad? Is it good? You can see in this review if you just skip to my conclusion, or if you want to hear me talk about nonsense for 10 minutes. Peter Quill, still reeling from the loss of Gamora, must rally his team around to defend the universe along with protecting one of their own. A mission that, if not completed successfully, could quite possibly lead to the end of the Guardians as we know them. Yeah, this movie is rated PG-13 for intense sequences of violence, action, strong language, suggestive and drug references, and thematic elements.
Alright, I get it!
A higher PG-13 movie from the MCU. And especially Guardians. I'm a massive Guardians fan. I love the first movie. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. It's in my top 10 movies in the MCU. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, a step down. The humor doesn't work as well. But Ego, a fantastic villain. Mantis is introduced. She's great in the movie. And Yondu, man. Yondu, he steals the show. One of my favorite characters in the entire MCU, right? So I was hoping that this could at least be as good as Volume 2. But, I wasn't sure if it was going to be better or if it was going to get even close to the first movie. But luckily, it did. I absolutely love this movie. And all the hype said that the emotion is real in this movie. The emotional value in this movie was going to be in an all-time high, and it is.
He left out some important information, but that is the gist of it.
It's because the emotion in this movie, it is seriously incredible. My eyes, they were just and I didn't know if it was allergies or the movie, but when you get to Rocket Raccoon, basically every scene with him, I was a mess. I was a mess. And, the movie starts off and you're following Rocket and you're basically learning more about Rocket Raccoon this entire movie. And he is the MVP of this movie because Rocket, you get to know his backstory. You get to know where he came from. And it is so sad, so happy at some points, but then there are just scenes where something happens or some things happen and you're sitting there in awe and you're just like, oh my God, what the heck? Why is Marvel doing this to me? How can they do this to me? It's Marvel. You don't have to do this stuff, and you'll get what I mean when you watch the movie. Man, it's really big. And each character in the movie gets their time to shine. Gamora, she has sort of she's not really a big part of it. She doesn't really have that much involved with the Guardians because, the other version of Gamora, she's dead. So, sorry, that's a spoiler, but you've probably seen it. So the new one comes in and she's just she doesn't really know them. She doesn't like Peter Quill. Peter Quill misses the other Gamora because of, the stuff. And all that stuff. So that's a part of the character. Gamora has a lot of stuff to do in this movie. And Mantis is really good in this movie too. She has the role of basically controlling people's minds, to turn them against the other person, so that they become good when they're bad just for 5 seconds. And all those things. You know what Mantis does. She's in the movie, and she is great, too. And Drax. Now, Dave Bautista said that this would be his last movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and, I guess it is. But Drax is awesome in this movie. He finally has some awesome stuff to do. This entire time he's been sort of called a dumb ASS, but here, he is called that. He is that, but man, he gets so much to do that is just awesome, and it's truly incredible getting to see what he can do on the screen, and that was just incredible. Nebula also has a lot of good stuff to do in this movie. At the beginning I was like, oh man, I just don't really like Nebula. But in this movie, she was great. She has been slowly moving up the ranks in the MCU characters, and I just really enjoyed her screen presence, honestly. And Peter Quill, man, he's awesome in the movie, and he definitely has incredible stuff to do. I mean, in the beginning, he's sort of like a drunk idiot, but then later on in the movie, he becomes awesome. He becomes a badass, and he's incredible. Adam Warlock, I actually really enjoyed his character. He was a really great character in my opinion, and he had a lot of really cool stuff to do. He's a baby, so he's kind of an idiot, but he was still really good in the movie, especially when he was fighting people. Like, he was honestly pretty awesome. Also, the shocking moments in this movie, crazy stuff happens in the movie, and I was just like, oh my god, did this actually happen? I can't believe I'm witnessing this on screen. Like, what the heck? Like, all of those moments, really, they were in this movie, and you should be expecting them. And bring your tissues too. And the High Evolutionary, he does things that, like, villainous lines that you hear like all the time, but he's just terrifying when he's on screen. He's menacing. He's hateable. I just want to punch him in the face whenever he's on screen. He's one of the most hateable villains. He's not as bad as Umbridge, but sort of like Umbridge in that way. One of the best Guardians villains. I mean, he's just like awesome, and like, he's not an awesome person, but he's an awesome villain. He's a really good villain because he's so hateable. Oh, so mad at him for what he did to Rocket. And like I said, you get to see Rocket's backstory, and he is really involved in Rocket's backstory, so that stuff of the story is really good. And Rocket, his storyline in the movie is my favorite out of all of the storylines. Now, the story, sometimes it's just a bit messy, just a little bit, because it does flip-flop from storyline to storyline to storyline to storyline, but it is warranted. They allow it to do that, and they give it the permission to do it by having all of those storylines feel so emotional, and it's just awesome when you get like really involved in those storylines. And it's not like Stranger Things season 4, like in the beginning, where it doesn't cut to other storylines immediately when something big happens. It actually stays there and allows you to grieve over those moments, and that I just absolutely love that about it. Also, there's incredible CGI in this movie. Absolutely awesome. Some of the best CGI / special effects I've ever seen in a Marvel movie. I mean, it was incredible. Groot looks absolutely perfect. He was awesome. And whenever he was on screen, I was just like, oh my god, the visuals are so good, because they were. And like I said, some of the best in any Marvel movie. And there is one shot in this movie, and oh my god, it blew my mind. Like, I have never seen anything like that in any Marvel movie. Like, maybe any comic book movie. I mean, it was so crazy. It felt like a video game, but in a good way. It was such a cool scene. It blew my mind the way it was shot, and the CGI in that scene was also awesome, and I was just mesmerized by it. I was like, oh my god, Marvel is actually doing this. James Gunn is actually doing, like, James Gunn, he's a god, man. At this point, he's a god. And the score in this movie, it may just be the best Guardian score of all time. It is absolutely fantastic. It was so good, and all the songs, they were so good. Like, it also had some of the similar songs to the first movie, but that was good because it reminded you of the joy from the first movie that you felt in it. This entire thing, it just felt like an old MCU movie, and that's such a good thing. It feels like the original 18 movies versus the new Phase 4 stuff that we get. That just feels just a bit too new. It has too much CGI and stuff. This one, the CGI was actually good, unlike Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And like, it just felt so much like the first Guardians movie, and that was just awesome. It just reminded me of how I used to feel watching a Marvel movie, and that was one of my favorite parts of the entire thing. Before I give you guys my score, let me know what you thought of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 down below. or on my community post about this video, I posted my first reaction to this movie. It's out of the theater. It's on my YouTube Shorts, so go check that out. But Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 broke me. This is an emotional conclusion to the franchise, and every character gets their time to shine. But Rocket Raccoon is the MVP. The score is an absolute banger. The CGI is top tier, and this is an emotionally satisfying banger that ends the franchise beautifully. So, like I said, let me know what you thought of this movie. I'm gonna rank all 42 projects in the MCU except for I Am Groot very soon. So stay tuned for that. I can't wait. It's gonna be awesome. But before I forget, there's 2 post-credit scenes, but they're not that important in my opinion, but they're really, really funny. But the actual credits before the post-credit scene and after the first post-credit scene, the music is awesome. It's from the Awesome Mix Volume 3, so it is incredible. So make sure to stick around for the credits. I think that'll probably make the movie better. So yeah, that's all I have to say about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I absolutely loved it. I can't wait to rank the MCU movies soon, and I'll see you guys later.